My husband was cooking when his coworker texted, "I miss you." I replied instead. "Welcome, this is Voice of Deborah and I share true life stories." I never thought I'd become the kind of wife who checks her husband's phone. But standing in our kitchen that Tuesday evening, watching Daniel stir pasta sauce while humming to himself, I felt something crawl up my spine when his phone lit up on the counter. "Miss you." 3 words. From someone named Jenna with a little heart emoji next to her name. My hands went cold. Daniel didn't notice. He was too focused on adding basil to the pot, that innocent smile still on his face. We'd been married for 6 years. 6 years of trust, of building a life together, of believing we were solid. I picked up his phone before I could stop myself. "Honey, can you grab the..." Daniel turned around, his face draining of color when he saw what I was holding. "Sarah, wait. Who's Jenna?" My voice came out steadier than I felt. "She's just a coworker, I swear." "It's not what you think." "But isn't that what they all say?" What happened next made me question everything I thought I knew about my marriage. But the real shock, it wasn't coming from where I expected. I stood there, phone in hand, waiting for him to explain. Daniel set down the wooden spoon. His hands raised like I was pointing a gun at him instead of his own phone. "Sarah, please. Let me explain." "Then explain." I unlocked his phone. I knew his passcode, we'd always been open about that, and scrolled up through their messages. My heart hammered against my ribs. The texts went back weeks. "Thinking about you. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Last night was amazing." My vision blurred. "Last night? You said you were working late last night." "I was." "Sarah, this isn't, she's not." He stepped toward me and I stepped back, the kitchen island between us like a chasm. "You have to let me explain." "What's there to explain, Daniel?" My voice cracked. "You're having an affair." "No." He looked genuinely panicked, running his hands through his dark hair the way he always did when stressed. "God, Sarah, no. It's not like that at all." I wanted to throw the phone at him. I wanted to scream. Instead, I did something that would change everything. I texted Jenna back. "We need to talk. Come to our house." I sent her our address. Daniel's face went white. "Sarah, what did you just do?" "I invited her over. If this is innocent, you won't mind her explaining it to my face." But the terror in my husband's eyes told me this was anything but innocent. 20 minutes felt like 20 hours. Daniel had turned off the stove, the pasta forgotten. He kept trying to talk to me, but I held up my hand every time, my body shaking with rage and hurt. When the doorbell rang, I practically ran to answer it. The woman standing on our porch wasn't what I expected. She was older than me, maybe mid-40s, with kind eyes and worry etched across her face. She wore scrubs like she'd come straight from a hospital shift. "You must be Sarah," she said softly. "I'm Jenna. I think there's been a terrible misunderstanding." I crossed my arms. "Then come in and clear it up." Daniel appeared behind me, and I heard him exhale shakily. "Jenna, I'm so sorry. I should have told her. I just didn't know how." My head whipped toward him. "Told me what?" Jenna stepped inside, and what she said next made my blood run cold, but not for the reason I thought. "Sarah, I'm a nurse at Clearview Oncology Center. Daniel's been coming to see me for the past 6 weeks." She paused, her eyes filling with sympathy. "He's been receiving treatment. I'm his chemo nurse." The world tilted sideways. "What?" The word barely escaped my lips. Daniel's face crumbled. "I have stage 3 lymphoma, Sarah. I found out 2 months ago." I couldn't breathe. This had to be a lie, another layer of deception. No, that's not, you would have told me. You wouldn't hide something like that." "I tried," his voice broke. 100 times I tried. But every time I looked at you, saw how happy you were, how we were finally going to start trying for a baby. I couldn't destroy that. I thought I could handle it alone until I figured out the prognosis. Jenna touched my arm gently. "The texts you saw, they were about his treatment. Last night was amazing, meant he'd made it through a rough chemo session without getting sick." "I miss you" was because he'd skipped his Wednesday appointment, and I was worried. My legs wouldn't hold me. I sank onto the couch, Daniel's phone still clutched in my hand. "Show me," I whispered. "Show me the medical records." But as Daniel pulled out papers from his hidden folder in the study, I realized the betrayal wasn't over. It was just beginning. And it wasn't coming from my husband. The medical documents were real. Detailed treatment plans, test results, appointment schedules, all with Daniel's name on them. I sat there, stunned, as 6 weeks of secretive behavior suddenly made horrible sense. The late nights at work were chemo sessions. The weight loss I'd attributed to stress. The way he'd been so tired, so distant. "I'm so sorry," I whispered, tears streaming down my face. "Daniel, I'm so sorry," I thought. "Don't." He knelt in front of me, taking my hands. "Don't apologize. I should have told you from the beginning. I was an idiot to think I could protect you by hiding it." Jenna quietly excused herself, and I held my husband while we both cried. But through my tears, a thought nagged at me. "Daniel, if you were at treatment, where's all the money going?" He looked confused. "What do you mean?" "I checked our joint account last week. $20,000 is missing." His face went pale again, but this time with a different kind of fear. "Sarah, I haven't touched that money. All my treatment is covered by insurance. I specifically checked before I started. I haven't made any major withdrawals." We stared at each other, the same horrifying thought dawning on both of us. Someone else had access to our accounts. My hands shook as I logged into our bank account on my phone. Daniel looked over my shoulder, and we scrolled through the transaction history together. 5 withdrawals over the past month, each for $4,000. All made at branches across the city. All during hours when both Daniel and I were supposed to be at work. "Oh God," Daniel breathed. "Sarah, there's only one other person who has our account information. My mother. I'd given her our account details 3 months ago during a family emergency. Her furnace had died in the middle of winter, and she'd needed $4,000 fast to replace it. I'd told her to pay us back whenever she could, but she'd insisted on keeping the account number, just in case something else happened." My stomach turned to ice. "No," I said. "She wouldn't. Mom wouldn't steal from us." But even as I said it, pieces started clicking into place. Her new car last month, she'd said a friend gave her a good deal. The expensive vacation she'd booked to Florida, she'd claimed it was from her tax return. The designer handbag she'd shown off at Sunday dinner. Daniel grabbed his keys. "We're going over there. Now." The drive to my mother's house felt like descending into a nightmare. My phone buzzed. A text from my sister Lisa. "Mom just asked me for a loan. Said it was urgent. Did she ask you to?" My heart sank further. I texted back. "Don't give her anything. Coming over to Mom's now. Meet us there." When we arrived, my mother's car was in the driveway, the shiny new Honda Civic she'd bought at a steal. The living room lights were on. I used my key to let us in. "Mom!" She appeared from the kitchen, wine glass in hand, her face flushing when she saw both of us. "Sarah. Daniel. What a surprise. I wasn't expecting. Where's our money?" I didn't have the energy for small talk. She blinked, her smile faltering. "What are you talking about?" $20,000, Mom. From our joint account. The one you've been making withdrawals from." What she said next wasn't a denial. It was so much worse. My mother set down her wine glass carefully, her hand trembling slightly. "You don't understand the pressure I've been under." "Pressure?" Daniel's voice was hard. "I have cancer, and you stole money we might need for medical expenses." She flinched but pressed on. "Your father's been gambling again. He racked up debts with some very dangerous people. They were threatening to hurt him, Sarah. To hurt me. I didn't know what else to do. My father. They'd been divorced for 10 years, but apparently she'd been secretly seeing him again. So you stole from your own daughter." My voice shook with rage. "While my husband is dying, You decided to fund your ex-husband's gambling addiction. He said he'd kill himself if I didn't help. Her voice rose defensively. What was I supposed to do? Not steal from US. I screamed. You were supposed to ask. You were supposed to be my mother. Lisa burst through the door then, having heard the shouting from outside. What's going on? I turned to my sister, tears streaming down my face. Mom's been stealing from us. $20,000. To pay off Dad's gambling debts. Lisa's face went through a series of emotions. Shock, disgust, and finally something else. Something that made my blood run cold. Oh, Sarah, she said quietly. There are no gambling debts. We all froze. What? I whispered. Lisa's hands were shaking. I've been paying for Mom's rehab. She has a prescription pill addiction. Has for 2 years now. The gambling debts are a lie. Dad doesn't even live in this state anymore. The room spun. My mother's face crumbled, and suddenly I saw it. The signs I'd missed. The slurred words I'd attributed to wine. The mood swings. The constant need for money. Mom! My voice broke. She sank into a chair, covering her face. I didn't want you to know. I didn't want you to see me like this. So you stole from me instead. Could barely speak. While Daniel is fighting for his life. But Lisa stepped forward, her expression pained. Sarah, there's more. The rehab didn't work. Mom's been buying pills from a dealer in the city and she gave him our address. As collateral. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. What does that mean? Daniel asked, his voice deadly quiet. It means, Lisa said, pulling out her phone with shaking hands, if she doesn't pay him the $15,000 she owes by Friday, he's coming for whatever he can get. And he knows where we all live because Mom gave him all our addresses. I looked at my mother, this woman who'd raised me, who I'd trusted with everything. How could you? She was crying now, mascara running down her face. I'm sick, Sarah. I need help. I thought I could fix it myself, but it got out of control. When's Friday? Daniel asked, his face grim. Lisa checked her phone. Tomorrow. We had less than 24 hours before a drug dealer came to our house looking for money we no longer had because my mother had stolen it to feed her addiction. But I wasn't going to let my mother's mistakes destroy my family. Not when Daniel was fighting so hard to live. I'd been a defense attorney before I switched to corporate law. I knew how to handle dangerous people. And I was about to put that knowledge to use in a way I never imagined. I called my old colleague, Mike, who now worked with the local police department's vice unit. Within an hour, he was at my mother's house with a detective. You're telling me a known drug dealer threatened your family over a debt? Detective Ramirez asked, taking notes. Yes, I said firmly. And I want to help you catch him. My mother gasped. Sarah, no. He's dangerous. If he finds out, then he won't find out. I turned to the detective. I'll wear a wire. Set up a meeting. Tell him I'll pay the debt, and when he shows up, you arrest him. Daniel grabbed my arm. Absolutely not. It's too dangerous. We don't have a choice. I looked at him. This man who'd been hiding his cancer to protect me. You've been fighting alone. Let me fight for us now. The detective looked uncertain, but Mike nodded. She's sharp, and she's done witness prep for cases like this. If we control the environment, we can make it work. After 2 hours of planning, we had a strategy. I would text my mother's dealer. His name was Craig, and tell him I'd pay the debt in cash. We'd meet at a public park with undercover officers positioned around us. I'd get him to admit the extortion on tape, and they'd move in. Simple. Clean. Terrifying. Friday morning arrived too fast. I wore the wire under my jacket, Daniel gripping my hand in the car before I stepped out. If anything feels wrong, you run, he said fiercely. I can't lose you. Not now. You won't, I promised, though my heart was hammering. I walked to the bench we'd designated, a manila envelope full of marked bills in my hands. The park was busy with morning joggers. All undercover officers. Craig appeared right on time. He was younger than I expected, maybe 30, with cold eyes that assessed me immediately. "You Sarah?" he asked, sitting down beside me. "I am. You're the one extorting my family because my mother has an addiction you've been feeding." His jaw tightened. "Business is business. Is that what you call threatening to come to our homes? To hurt us if we don't pay? I call it collecting what I'm owed." He reached for the envelope, pulled it back. "First, I want to hear you say it. You threatened my family. My husband has cancer, and you were going to rob us anyway." His eyes flashed with anger. "Your mother made choices. I'm just making sure she pays. By threatening to hurt us. By doing whatever it takes." He leaned closer, his voice dropping. "You think you're smart trying to get me to confess? I've done this 100 times. Now give me the money, or tomorrow I show up at your house with friends." That's when Detective Ramirez stepped forward, badge out. "You're under arrest." Craig bolted. But he didn't get far. 3 officers tackled him before he reached the parking lot, and I watched them cuff him, my legs shaking so badly I had to sit back down. Mike jogged over. "You okay?" "I just want to go home." The legal process moved fast. Craig had outstanding warrants, and with my testimony and the recording, the DA was confident about prosecution. My mother entered a treatment program, this time court-mandated. As for Daniel and me, we faced his cancer together. His prognosis was actually good. They'd caught it early enough that treatment was working. But those months were hell. Chemo, radiation, sleepless nights, and fear that never quite went away. Through it all, I kept thinking about that text message. "Miss you." 3 words that had led me down a path I never expected. One that exposed betrayals I never saw coming but also revealed strength I didn't know I had. 8 months later, Daniel's last scan came back clear. We celebrated with Jenna, who'd become a dear friend, and Lisa, who'd stuck by us through everything. My mother and I are rebuilding our relationship slowly. Some days are harder than others. Trust, once broken, doesn't heal overnight. But here's what I learned. When something feels wrong, trust your instincts. When someone you love is hiding something, dig deeper, with compassion, not accusation. And when danger comes for your family, fight back with everything you have. That text message didn't destroy my marriage. Saved it. And it taught me that sometimes the worst betrayals come from where we least expect them, but so does the strength to overcome them. If you've ever felt that gut instinct that something was wrong, or if you've faced betrayal from someone you trusted, drop a comment below. Your story matters. And don't forget to subscribe, because life's plot twists deserve to be shared, and maybe your story could help someone else survive theirs.